Hi friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rainboots.com. Today we are going to be crafting with Dollar Tree items, some findings, and some fabric from Amazon. You're going to need a hot glue gun, some scissors, a little Mod Podge, some stain or paint if you want to, and some little finds that you probably have in your stash from the Dollar Tree like these signs. All right, let's get started. So I'm going to be using this little, I think it's a shadow box. I don't know. It just says decor from Dollar Tree on the back. And then I'm just going to be working on the inside here. This I got navy and red of this sort of Americana fabric from Amazon. And then these are cast offs. I have a ton of these partially cut paint sticks and I just used my miter shears to cut them. But look, I found 3 that sort of will form a 4, right? I mean, it looks like a 4 to me. Anyway, and then I'm going to use some July letters from my Scrabble bin. Again, just use miter shears. You can use scissors to cut those down as well. I'm going to use something to protect my workspace, and I'm going to put on gloves to protect my manicure from the stain. So I'm just going to make sure to sand off this shiny whatever it is on the front of these Scrabble letters. Going for a very rustic look, so I sand just until I take some of the paint off of the letters as well, just a little bit. And then set those aside, and now I'm going to stain these. I'm using Minwax Poly Shade in Satin Espresso, which is both a stain and a poly because I'm lazy. You should get these if you're lazy. It's like half the work. And then I'm just going to apply that with, yes, you saw it, a paper towel, because this is not a fancy crafting session. If you are new here to me, hi there. Nice to meet you. I'd love to hear you're new in the comments down below, but I don't believe you should have to go buy all of the quote right tools. If a paper towel will do, use it. All right. So I just added a tiny little bit of coating to those as well. And you let those dry for a sec and then pretend to clean up your desk and give up. And then wipe it down with, yes, another paper towel. I mean, if you have rags on hand, that's fine, but my husband took them out to the garage, so I have to steal them back, maybe. All right, so we are going to be working just on the inside. So I measured this, it's 8.5, and then watch. That is not 8.5 because, thank you, Dollar Tree. It's not quite a square, so always measure. I'm going to cut this down because it's a good bit of fabric that I got for not a lot of money. I just think this is a really fun way to kind of dampen, if you will, the very bright red and the very deep blue that we often use in our 4th of July or Memorial Day decor. If you're new here, I stutter my way through the English language some days. And now all I'm going to do is just straighten up one side so I can use that one side to measure. That's all. Don't pull that. And of course I do. All right. So again, 8.5. And then the other one, I can't remember what it was. 8 and just under 8.5. Can't remember. But I am going to be using the cast offs here. So try and make sure you can, get big enough sizes. Those 2 pieces we will use in our future crafts here today. Look, fits well. Yay me. Get 2 thumbs up. That was very, very good job. All right, so now we're just going to see if I like this placement. Because remember, I already had these, and if I need to cut them down with the shears, I'll cut them down with the shears. But I couldn't decide which portion I wanted on top. That's probably the longest portion of all of these crafts, actually, was deciding how these should be layered. If there are rules, let me know. So if you also do some of my Cricut stuff, you know that this looks a lot like one of the SVGs that I have. It's downloaded all the time, and it is because I wanted to sort of recreate that look. I love that look in vinyl, and so I kind of wanted to recreate it here. I'm going to put this over here just because it's going to be balanced out with a nice bow, I think, over on the right. Just gave myself 1 thumbs up on that one. Tragic. All right, so I have all of these ribbon cast offs. And yes, I pulled out all of my ribbon casts off just to find those red burlap striped ribbons. So as you can see, that bow was already made and I ripped it apart because I tend to do that. And now we're just going to make the easiest stack farmhouse bow. I have a series of bow tutorials here on my channel if you're new. And they're not the normal ones. They're not the normal big wreath bows. They're for smaller projects like these or gifts. All right, so it's going to look something like that. I think it's going to balance out really well whether or not I want to put this sign just against my mantle or if I want to hang it. So I'm just tying it up with what looks like yarn. Man, I don't know what this stuff is. I got it in a ribbon set from Christmas from Michael's. It looks like yarn. You can pull it apart easily. I don't know what it is. But I'm just going to tie this all in the center, and then the front's going to look like garbage. Spoiler alert, but then we just move everything around. If you have a staple gun, you can obviously staple this on, but I was much too lazy to actually walk over to that side of my craft room and get it, so we're going to glue it on. Now I'm just going to move this stuff around and get it set, and we're good to go. I think it's going to look good. Now we got to start gluing it down, Sarah. So for the fabric, you can absolutely use a spray adhesive. Even the Dollar Tree has some, but I didn't want to tape off the rest of the stuff and go outside, so I'm squishing around the hot glue with the tip of my glue gun because I'm lazy. And I'm not gluing the center down, I'm just tacking it down because we have a very, very well fitting little piece of fabric here and it's very taut. All right, now I messed with this again. My brain, I don't know which way I like it better. How would you do it? Would you put the topmost piece or the longest most piece on top? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I ended up not doing that, by the way. So there you go. This is what I ended up doing here. If you have a really, like a lot of layers on something, just cut little pieces of your paint stick and stack it up under there. Gives it a nice little 3D look. I was too lazy to do that though. Ooh. Now my 4 is on. All right. Now I'm going to just glue these on down here, do all of my little dovetailing on the edges, and then glue that on in the upper right corner. Oh, I forgot to dovetail the red ones. I just realized that when I looked at it, I was like, oh, let's go ahead and finish. So that one is done and set aside. Now I'm going to take a couple of pieces of that same fabric in red and blue, and I'm going to work on the ugly side of these little Dollar Tree houses in case I want to do a bright side next year. When I drag these out, my other side will be nice and clean and it's the pretty side because maybe I want to paint it. Mod Podge, turn it over, stick it down. That was the extent of this craft, making sure that I tried to get it like the line straight. That was it. I was going to put Dollar Tree stars on this, but I'm going to use those in another project in just a second. So I just repeated that. And then I am going to, again, I'm such a lazy crafter. Lazy crafters unite. If you're a lazy crafter, subscribe because I do things the easy way. So after those dried for just a couple of seconds, I'm going to just use a rotary cutter. If you want, use scissors. You'll see me use scissors on the gnomes. And then a layer of Mod Podge on the top. Now, I thought about adding those stars. I thought about adding those little rustic looking cinnamon stars as well, but first of all, I couldn't find them. And then second, these are just going to go in the background for me, so I just needed a little pop of color. So I'm going to set those aside and let them dry. Yet another Dollar Tree sign. I bought 6 of these and can only find one. I don't know where the other ones went. So here's some Dollar Tree popsicle sticks. They are the ones that come 62 a pack. They're a little wider than the normal popsicle sticks. And then this little pack had hearts in this one, but I used those already. So now I'm going to use the stars. They're a little bit bigger than the Dollar Tree stars that you get in the multi-packs. And as you guessed it, I'm just going to try and vary up my ribbon a little bit, but stay in that same theme. Mod Podge for the win. Again, spray adhesive. You could just do this in 2 seconds with spray adhesive as well. Kind of line up the star straightish and set that aside. Now here I'm speeding this up because whatever you want to do, I wrote home. And then I just got a good height for my popsicle sticks for the letters and then traced all of the vertical portions of the letters and made them the same size. You could, if you wanted, you could round those off and sand them, and I didn't want to. I was just, one of those days where you just need to make something. Like you just want to craft for crafting's sake. I picked a holiday. I craft for Christmas all year round, but I thought, I just need a craft today, and I'll get a little head start on July. All right, so I repeated that and then cut all of the crossbars for the H, E, and M as well, so the same size. And then I ended up cutting down this, which was useless. by the way. Watch this tiny little piece here, tiny little piece here. And then I messed up putting it on. I just wrote on my board. I would just say skip that portion. Just overlap them. Look at the tiny cut I made on that one that I put on backwards anyway. You see? See how well that worked out for me? All right, so I'm going to stain those the same wood. Again, you can stain that Dollar Tree wood after giving it a sand a little bit, you know. I had to stain both sides because I forgot which of the letters was the fronts. And then wipe them down after they've soaked in a bit. And that's it. Now I'm going to make the bow while those finish drying, and I'm going to use that cast off that we had just a second ago and this ribbon. So it's not really a burlap. I love this ribbon. I don't know where I got it. I'm sorry, but if you know where that label comes from, let me know. But it's a burlap, but it's stiff. It still falls apart like burlap, but it doesn't fray as badly. You can see it kind of fraying on the end down there, but no, I really like it. Anyway, just use what you have. Again, I'm going to use this to make ribbon because I don't like throwing scraps of fabric away, but I'm really, really, really trying to use what is in my craft room for the entire year. Um, it's a bold goal if you know me, but I figure so many of us have so much stuff on hand that we buy thinking, "Oh, we're going to use that. I'm going to use that for something." And then you have an idea when you buy it. But because you maybe have ADD and because you have ADD for crafting, definitely, you see something else shiny and then you forget why you brought that in. And then sometimes you're just sitting there stumped like, what was I going to use that for? That's me, like pretty much every day of the week. So when I decided to do this, I just, you know, just decided to go grab my Christmas ribbon, firstly, and then that's what that red and white, red and cream ribbon is, and then just use what we have. I figure it'll be fine. So this bow is going to go in the center. I'm going to hang this from a big window, I think. I'm not real sure yet. Again, it's only April when I'm making this stuff, so it's not even close to being put out. I suppose I could put it out for Memorial Day and then just let it stay out until July. But this is my July 4th kind of stuff. So I decided that my anything going horizontal was going to be on the bottom for this sign, and then anything going vertical was going to be on the top. And all I did was just make sure I lined up everything at the bottom, regardless of, how my spacing did or did not work out. But you can see I'm just lining it up at the bottom. And then gluing on the crossbars. Watch how I mess this up. But no glue went anywhere, so worked out for me. And look at me, I got a measuring tape out because I have them out for my lasers, and then just glued it in the mostly center. Mostly center. Again, not going for exact stuff, but I had a good time crafting that day. Now on these, now that they're dry, I'm just going to sand all these edges because the Mod Podge discolored it a little bit. So get a hefty bit of sandpaper or sanding block. Now I know if you're a Dollar Tree crafter, you know what that is. I just painted it white and then bailed on that craft. But I got these little gnomes on clearance from Hobby Lobby, have some more scraps, so we're going to use them. I also am going to be spelling out Home of the Brave, which surprisingly had all those letters still. Popped off all these little things like the little feet and the noses, and then I also do be careful with that. But I also pulled out all these little like metal things. You could paint over them. I could have totally painted over them, but I didn't like the feet. So it was already white, but I'm going to paint it plaster because everything is sort of off-white with this Americana style. So just wanted to make it look a little less bright without adding any rustic or, any chalk paint on top to make it look sort of worn. I sanded these guys down, gave them a wipe, and then painted a couple of coats. Now, I will say, if you can find stuff like this, which the Dollar Tree has gnomes literally for every holiday, I just am partial to always making a gnome craft each week. And I just thought these would be a cute little addition. I'm not sure if those are going to go in my entryway or if I'm going to put those on the mantle. But I think either way, it'll be a cute little addition. So I had to do 2 coats for the bottom portion. I only did 1 coat for the top portion, again, just to knock it back. But I'm going to be making an outline of a beard You can tell the storm came in that day because now everything is sort of like a bluish gray. There you go. And we're back. So now I'm going to just glue these on. And I learned a trick, I think, from Lizzie of Lizzie and Aaron. I can't remember who told me. Just basically you glue down the front and the last of the letters first. And then that way everything else will always be centered in the middle. So I don't know. I think it was Lizzie. It could have been Amber Strong. But I don't know. I learned it from somebody. Thank you, somebody. And then I just painted really wiggly lines, adding a little thickness here and there in mineral from Waverly, and then Mod Podged this fabric down. Tried to make it straight. Now I didn't even brayer this stuff down. You just use your hands. You don't need to brayer it. Just do let it dry a little bit before you do this part. On any of the curvy bits underneath the hat, I just cut these little slits and it's much easier to cut. Also, I don't recommend using your fabric scissors. They're a little large for this project, but that's what I had on hand. Laziness today, the day I was crafting. I just wanted to make stuff. I didn't even actually want to film this. I know a lot of people think that I film everything. I don't. I craft all the time and I don't film part of it because it's just for me, right? Glued on the little noses, and then I use those Dollar Tree stars that come in a package, that size, to cover up these holes because I don't like them. And I left them the natural wood to bring in the other sign little accents and the Scrabble pieces. So now I'm just going to glue these guys down. I'd probably recommend, if you're using these for more than one season, to use a little bit of CA glue or super glue, but that was it for this craft. Super fun, super simple, without having to do any crazy stuff. If you have faux fur, you could add that to a gnome beard. But that is it for me today. I'd love to hear what you think about these 4 crafts and which one is your favorite. I appreciate you being here. Please like this video, subscribe, and have a great day.